All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth, with Ben Jokes. Now, instead of taking APC supporters unaware, I have decided to begin calling this out repeatedly and beforehand. TINUBU said in this 2025, his government would reduce inflation from 34.6% to 15%. Now, we want to start calling him out early from January. Today is 23rd of January now, and as it stands, prices are still on the rise. I will bring this up again in February and in March, and I can assure you that by the time we will be in July, not only will TINUBU have failed to reduce inflation, there will be a significant, drastic rise in inflation rate. This is not pessimism. This is me being realistic about the future of this country, using the numbers on ground and the unwillingness of the TINUBU government to do the right thing as yardstick. They have already started making inflation worse with the new 50% increase in Telecom's tariffs. And few hours ago, the TINUBU camp made a statement that shocked Nigerians. This statement confirms that things will actually get worse. The Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, while responding to the increase in Telecom's tariff, said it is just the beginning. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that, a shocking, very shocking video began making the rounds. Now, in this video, Shettima was speaking at the World Economic Forum 2025. Is something they do every year. This edition, Shettima went there to speak. And in his speech, he openly lied against African youths before the whole world. And then he went ahead to take a position that completely antagonizes the activities of TINUBU's government. And this got many Nigerians thinking. They said, does this man still speak for this government? Before I show you details of these top stories, let me quickly show you these videos. The first video here shows a protest which took place at the University College Hospital, UCH, Ibadan. Medical students and others have been without electricity for 82 days because TINUBU failed on his promise of 50% subsidy on electricity tariffs for schools and hospitals. See the video.
The students, led by its union president, Bolaji Aweda, said the students and the institution have been affected by the power outage in so many ways, and this is due to the inability of the management to pay its electricity bill to IBEDC. The students appealed to the federal government to intervene by restoring power to enable students to be effective in their studies.
Well, for over 82 days now, there has been no light in UCH. Our request is number one, because the electricity blackout is due to the failure of UCH government to keep up with the payment due to the hike in electricity tariff. You are aware of band-aid tariff. So our request is that number one, direct that they restore the light back to UCH immediately. Number two, that the federal government implements the 50% off tariff that they promised to all tertiary institutions and health sector. Number three, that there is a reform of the health sector in Nigeria. That is what we want.
Addressing the protesters, the executive assistant on security to Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, Compo Sunday Odukoya, retired, promised to relay their message to the appropriate quarters.
It has to do with federal government, not the state. But you can see our Excellency, the Executive Governor for your state, Engineer Seyi Makinde, FNSC, DSC, GSSRS, has done a lot about electricity. He has just commissioned the IPPS electricity that will augment what we have on ground. I know that one will go a very long way, which I've given them an assurance that they know the governor we have. He doesn't want anybody to suffer.
The University College Hospital has been experiencing power outage for the past 82 days due to debts owed to the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company.
You saw that. 82 days without electricity. And I hope you know that the UCH is not just an academic institution. It has arguably the biggest hospital in Nigeria. Now, the hospital too has gone 82 days without electricity. Imagine what would have happened to all the patients there, especially the ones on emergency. And if you think that information has not reached TINUBU, then you are joking. He is aware. Yet his promise of 50% subsidy on electricity bills for schools and hospitals remains unfulfilled. This is the height of insensitivity. So how can you now turn around and say that these subsidies you are removing is for the good of the nation when you have destroyed everything like this? What TINUBU calls reforms in the power sector is to slam Nigerians with bills that over 90% of the citizens feel like they are being literally robbed. This is so sad. Now, the next video shows the president of the NLC, Comrade Joe Ajaero, responding to the Minister of Power. This minister went before the Senate, and instead of talking about improving power supplies to all Nigerians and providing prepaid meters to all Nigerians, this man began talking about Band A and Band B. Let's watch how Comrade Joe Ajaero responded to him.
Now, if it is service, reflective tariffs, the service you are giving to me is what I will pay for. And to that extent, if you don't give me meter, if I'm not metered, you can't just wake up one day and say I have to pay 20,000, I have to pay 30,000. It's not done. If you don't give me supply, there's a consequence to it. Now, the ministry is talking of migrating from Band A to Band B. That's the highest level of 419 one can think of. Who is in Band A and who is in Band B? Is it based on geographical area that you have Band A or Band B? Or is it based on the dictates of the provider that say, oh, you are in Band A, oh, you are in Band B, and some days you will not have supply. And they give you the impression that Band A's will get certain number of hours, maybe 18 hours, whatever, and they don't get. And then you pay attention to probably geographical areas where you migrated them to Band A. Therefore, this is no longer a social service. Some communities are still off. They are not getting anything. And you don't even know the band where they belong to. And if you check, the calculation, what's the Band A, what is Band B? In countries of the world that are targeting 24/7 power supply, why would somebody be talking of Band A, Band B? Why will it happen? So that idea is concocted, to make money unnecessarily and to say people are migrated. You'll be receiving, you'll be paying, and you are getting 6 hours, 7 hours, or 20 hours a day. All of a sudden, you say you're on Band A. What are the conditions to be on Band A? What are the conditions to be on Band B? Why will you discriminate? Why will you give me Band B and give somebody Band A? These are issues. Has the minister concerned himself with the electricity assistance funds to the rural communities to bridge the gap between the urban and rural, power supply up to this moment? Is that not part of their job? It is not part of their job to explore the options that are in existence in renewable energy sources in this country. These are the provisions for the art for them. How many of them are working? How many solar plants do we have in the country?
You heard that. NLC President Joe Ajaero making very good points there. But it's such a shame that the NLC is now a shadow of itself. All these indiscriminate increase of tariffs, import duties, and other moves aimed at raising inflation and making Nigerians to suffer wouldn't have been coming up if we had a strong Labour Congress. But what do we have? A Labour Congress that took 70,000 naira minimum wage with an agreement that petrol price will not be increased further from 617 naira per litre. But even before implementation of that 70,000 naira minimum wage, TINUBU raised petrol price from 617 naira to over 1,000 naira per litre, and the NLC did nothing. Shameful. And this is why we keep telling Nigerians that only Nigerians can rescue themselves. If Nigerians don't rise up to take their country back, then things will continue to get worse and the country will continue to sink. Now, let's look at the top stories. First is that update from the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, responding to the increase in Telecom's tariff and he said it is just the beginning. And next is that video from Shettima where his speech at the World Economic Forum almost showed that he is not a part of this government. Let's start by taking that update from Wale Edun. Look at how the papers reported it. Inflation has increased. Wale Edun supports 50% Telecom's tariff hike. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has backed the 50% hike in Telecom tariff, saying inflation should be reflected in the company's business operations. There have been tons of reactions from stakeholders since the increase was announced on Monday. While the telecoms firms say the increase ought to be higher than 50%, labor unions and the National Association of Telecommunications Subscribers believe the deal favors the companies and puts the masses at a disadvantage. Edun told Arise TV on Thursday at the ongoing 2025 World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, that the government reached a compromise with the telecoms firms to ensure their businesses are sustainable. Inflation has increased and it must be reflected in the business operations of telecoms. While their prices are regulated, they cannot implement arbitrary tariffs, he said. The rising cost of living must be considered, and I believe the 50% tariff adjustment is just the starting point. It is about compromise, timing, and sequencing these necessary changes. So it is about timing. For now, 50% is what they should do. Then gradually they will be increasing it because there is inflation. As if me and other Nigerians were the ones who caused the inflation. As if it is not you, Wale Edun, and your cohorts that still caused this inflation. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. This tweet here says, it is concerning that instead of addressing measures to reduce the inflation rate as seen during the tenure of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the current Minister of Finance is proposing an increase in telecoms tariffs. These policies may further strain the economic situation for Nigerians. It is crucial for the government to adopt strategies that alleviate economic hardship rather than exacerbate it. These ones don't care. If you are going to die, go and die. It doesn't concern them. And Adewale Damilare here says, but the same federal government is still foot dragging on the implementation of the insulting new minimum wage. Clowns. That is it. In so many quarters, the minimum wage has not yet been implemented. It has even come to a point that some civil servants have even stopped thinking about it. What a shame. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to this, that video, that Shettima speech from World Economic Forum in Switzerland began making the rounds after taking loans to finance the 2024 budget. And even this 2025 budget now, over 80% of it is still going to be financed using loans. These people are going all around the world. TINUBU is going all around the world to beg for loans. But Shettima is claiming that he is a king, that he is the richest, that he doesn't beg, that what he wants is partnership, not to ask for aids. See this video.
The word for crisis in the Chinese language is wei des. Wei stands for danger and des for opportunity. Yes, we have challenges, but those challenges are also pregnant with opportunities to re-engineer our society and build back better. The crisis has given us a unique opportunity, a unique window to invest on the people, especially on education, on gender empowerment initiatives, on smart agriculture, and leapfrog our economies into the fourth industrial revolution. I don't believe in aids. I believe in partnership. I would rather carry my poverty with dignity and deal with people and nations and companies on a pedestal of equality, not a master-servant relationship. I don't come with a begging bowl. My continent is the richest in the world. And the trajectory of global growth is facing Africa. And Nigeria will make or mar that transition. So I move in with confidence, with cautious optimism, would hope for a better tomorrow. But most importantly, I believe that the youth of Africa are the drivers of change in Africa.
You heard that. He said he does not believe in AIDS, but his principal, TINUBU, is all around the world asking for AIDS. So there's a disconnect here. He said he's not coming with a begging bowl, but TINUBU is doing Babiala all around the world, taking loans to finance projects in Nigeria. So there's a disconnection here. Are these just rhetorics, just secondary school debates? Because I remember I used to be one of the best debaters back then in my primary and secondary school. So we were taught how to use rhetorics, sweetness of words to say things that we don't even believe a tenth of. So perhaps that's the same thing Shettima is doing. Or are you telling us there boldly that what TINUBU is doing is not in line with your beliefs? Whichever way we want to look at it, this does not sound well for the relationship between TINUBU and Shettima at all. This is the second time Shettima will go out to represent Nigeria and he will start saying a different thing entirely from what TINUBU has been saying. There was a time after TINUBU went to a country to say that the economy is taking shape and things were doing well. Shettima went to the UN. He went to the UN meeting and began saying that Nigeria needed help. This is the same Shettima who went to UN meeting and began saying that they should come down and rescue Nigeria. Today, he's saying that he's not begging, that he believes in partnership. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take a few tweet reactions. This tweet here says, this statement is in contrast with what his government is doing. A government that goes about begging for aids and loans. The loans have put Nigeria in perpetual poverty that the next generation may find it difficult to repay. That is the reality on ground. But this man went to that forum speaking grammar. Does he think that those people are foolish? They are just looking at him as if, what is wrong with this man? And this tweet here by Charles says, did he consult or communicate with his principal before making such an audacious statement? That is the question, that is the mystery that I've been trying to unravel here. Because clearly your principal has been going around the world begging. Now you are saying that your country is the richest, your continent is the richest in the world. And Daniel Oladoja here says, excuse me, sir, you are contradicting your principal. That is it. You are contradicting your principal. A man that in just less than 2 years in office, he has borrowed more money than Buhari borrowed in his first 4 years. You are sitting under such a man to say that you are not begging. I just wonder how TINUBU would feel if they play him this video. Because I believe that he is there scheming, already preparing the next loan that he will go and take. He's already preparing the next country that he will go and beg. And you are going out there to sit there and say that you are not a beggar. And the funny thing is that China is there. All the countries that Nigeria is indebted to, they are all seated there looking at Shettima making such statements. Propaganda, propaganda, propaganda. That's just all what he was doing there. But just as I've been saying, propaganda will not rule. Propaganda will not fix this nation for them. But I believe they are not even genuinely interested in fixing Nigeria. If not, they will not be imposing one tax after the other. Their aim is to make Nigerians suffer, to bring the citizens of this country to their knees. But if you ask me why they are doing it, that is one aspect, one question that I cannot answer. Why a man would want to impoverish the citizens of his own country, sell out your own country, I just can't understand. But this is the APC. This is what they have come to do. To steal, to kill, and to destroy. And this is why we keep telling Nigerians that for us to have a country at all in the near future, we must come together, cast our sentiments aside, and get the APC out of power. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news. When una go like? Why? Because of una. Nah, I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go.